right, just getting going here. Give me a minute to get all set up. I don't know if anybody's even logged on yet. Yeah, it's not showing live yet, that's why. All right, now we're getting in here. All right, hey, how's it going? Hang on just a second, guys. I got to get all set up here so I can make sure I can see the chat. What's going on in the chat? All right, who we got in here? Ruthie Sandberg, huh? Is this your first time in here, Ruthie? Well, if it is, welcome. Glad you made it. And if it's not, I'm sorry I didn't recognize your name before. Six Count Family, hey there. How's it going? Tiffany, hello. Vincent, Giant Angoras, Gregory Mendoza from California. Vincent, yeah, I noticed you, Vincent. You didn't have to call that out, but I got you. Yeah, Giant, you weren't first this time. Lauren, hey. Jesse Jackson, hey there. And Emma Baker. Lauren Hall. LLJ, hey there, how are you? Make sure I'm right on this, LLJ. I owe you some seeds, don't I? Is that you that sent me seeds that I need to send back? I can't remember who it is. I've got your name and your address over here, but it's different than what's on your YouTube handle. So remind me if I'm right or not. Hopefully I am. And Hester and Moore. Hi. That was a hard name to pronounce. So first of all, I'll tell you guys, my voice is a little strained today for some reason. I don't really feel bad. Had a little bit of an earache earlier this morning, but it's not too bad. But my voice is a little strained. I feel like I'm coming down with some laryngitis, but I'm fine. I don't feel that bad, so don't feel sorry for me or anything. But I just may have a hard time talking. I'm gonna raise this chair up a little bit. I feel like I'm sitting way down low, like at the kids' table or something. Okay, here we go. Now we're good to go. All right, LJ, I haven't forgotten about you. I just need to get those in the mail and get them sent to you. I'll probably get that done this weekend. It's not too late yet. Let me ask you, do you want, I've got some habaneros and I've got some cayenne. Would you like a little bit of both of those? I don't know if you're a pepper fan or not, but if you are, I'll make sure I get those sent out to you. All right, Patrick, hello from a wet and windy Ireland. Well, hello, Patrick. I've got some family in Ireland. I don't know them, but my family's from Ireland originally. Of course, many generations ago. But anyway, someday maybe I'll visit Ireland. Who knows? Excuse me. All right, bike and Dobie Mama, huh? Hi, Chris says have a question about dandelions. Is it a whole dandelion that drives a mother out of her milk, or is it just the flower, or is it the leaves also? Yeah, I think you asked this on a comment. I think I answered on the comment on one of the videos, but yeah, it's the whole thing. You really avoid feeding dandelion, mint, anything from the mint family to a nursing doe because it can dry up the doe, make her not produce enough milk to feed her baby. So that's something you should avoid feeding them. Who we got here? Danae Smith. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Hey there. And Ruthie says, I'm starting a summer project and raising quail. Your quail vids helped a lot. Well, hey, thank you very much for the kind comments. I'm glad that you find those helpful. All right. Danae wants to know, when do you start breeding your doe? All right, am I back? See if you guys can hear me now, if I'm still frozen or if it's working again. Looks like it's working on my end, but I can't tell. You got somebody respond to me, let me know. Okay, I'm back. Good. I don't know what happened there. Everything froze up. I've been having all kinds of problems with YouTube last week. If you guys were on the live broadcast last week, it took like 4 tries to get it to actually work. So who knows? Okay, I missed a question in here. Somebody asked, Six Count Family asked, we're getting ready to harvest our first rabbits. I've seen some other YouTubers use a pellet gun. What are your thoughts on that? You know, I've tried a pellet gun for dispatching rabbits, and it works. There's nothing wrong with that. I do find that it does seem like they kick just a little bit more after than when you use a broomstick method. Now, that may just be nerves. It may be because when you use a broomstick, you kind of break the spinal cord, so there's not as much. I don't know, honestly. I use a broomstick method myself, but nothing wrong with a pellet gun. It was pretty quick. I just find that the broomstick method kind of works just a little bit better, in my opinion, a little bit quicker. All right, so 355. 355 to see. I don't know what that means exactly, but okay. Says, good to see you. Could you help me figure out the best ways to sell baby rabbits? Thank you. You know, honestly, I don't sell a lot of rabbits. I think if you were going to sell rabbits, the best ways to do it would probably be to post on Facebook or, well, Facebook groups, but they're a little bit tricky about letting you sell live animals, or Craigslist. Craigslist in my area is whenever I'm looking for rabbits, that's where I go. I can usually find rabbits on there pretty easily. So I would say that's probably your best market. Or if you have a poultry swap in your area, you might check into being able to go and set up at the poultry swap and sell there. Lots of people selling rabbits at the poultry swaps. All right, Danae, you were asking about breeding, when you should breed. You didn't hear the answer to the question. I answered it, but the video froze. So let me try it again. Okay, I breed all year long. Well, I breed in the fall and the winter. I don't breed in the hottest parts of summer. So around here, that's going to be June, July, August, and September usually. So I usually start breeding, mid-September, early October, and I breed all the way through May usually, and have my last litter in May. And then I give them a break during the hottest parts of summer because they really do struggle with the heat a little bit. So hopefully that answers that and works pretty well. All right. Okay, David R. wants to know, what do you use in the bottom of your brooder box for quail? I use paper towels mostly because they're just easy. Lay them out. What I would avoid is anything slick like newspaper. Don't use newspaper. I mean, I guess if you shred it up, it's okay, but don't just lay out newspaper because it's kind of slick. They'll lose traction on it. That's where you end up with problems like splayed legs and some of those kinds of issues. So I use paper towel. It's pretty easy to just roll out a big piece of paper towel, lay it down, and then lay another couple of pieces down to cover it. I usually just do it double layer thick. It's easy to take out, throw away, put some more in to clean it out, and that works pretty well for me. They're only in the brooder box for like 2, maybe 3 weeks at the most, and then they go out to the grow out pen. So I find that paper towels work pretty well for me. All right, Ruthie Sandberg says, how do you know if quail eggs are fertilized? Well, you can check them. Excuse me, I'm having a hard time with my voice today. You can check to see if they're fertile. What I would do, if your roosters are crowing and you see breeding activity going on, or your females have feathers pulled out of the back of their heads, about 2 weeks after that starts, they're fertile. They're more than likely fertile. I wouldn't really bother with checking them too much. But what you can do is if you cut the egg open, dump it out, look at the yolk. There's a little white dot on the yolk. Now that just means that it's a mature egg. It could be fertilized. That doesn't necessarily mean it's fertile. What you're looking for is kind of a bullseye ring around that little white dot, and it's very faint. It's very, very hard to see. So don't just, because you don't notice it, don't just say, well, they're not fertile. It's a very light, hard to see ring around the dot there. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. It's just a little bitty dot, a white dot right on the egg yolk, and it's going to have a ring around it if they're fertilized. All right. Northeast Homestead says, expecting 2 new litters of rabbits tonight or tomorrow. Well, congratulations. Hopefully that works out well for you, and good luck with that. All right. Christopher Stone says, opinion on heating plate versus light bulb heating. I assume you're talking about for a brooder box. I really haven't used a heating plate myself. I have used heat lights. That's what I use most of the time. A heat plate is probably a little bit safer. There are some inherent risks with a heat lamp. I secure it pretty well so it doesn't, fall over or any of those kinds of things. But it might be a little bit safer. The thing you want to do is create a gradient. So I don't see any problem with using a heat plate or heat underneath the cage. Many different ways you could do that. I think that if it works, it works. Just put it on one side of the cage only so they can get away from the heat and get over to the other side. I think it would work just fine. All right. Danae says, do you start breeding your does once they are 4 months old or older? Oh, good question. Yeah, wait till they're about 6 months old. Really don't breed anything before it's about 6 months old. That's really the good time to start breeding most litters. Now, some of your older or your bigger rabbits, like Flemish Giants, they take a little bit longer, usually about 8 months, somewhere around it. Did I say 6 weeks? 6 months? Hopefully I said that. The Flemish Giants, the bigger breeds like that, some of them take a little bit longer to get to sexual maturity, about 8 months. But 6 months is a general rule of thumb for that. All right, Lulu the Silky says, hello, love your videos. They help me out a lot, and I'm new to raising quail. Well, thank you very much. I'm so glad that you find them helpful. Adolf, how are you? Okay. All right, Christopher Stone says, I've heard they feather out nicer with the heat plate. I don't know, honestly, by about 2 weeks, they're pretty much feathered out with a heat light, so I've never tried a heat plate, so I couldn't tell you there's any difference in that. I just really don't know. Yeah, I'm having problems with the video buffering a little bit, choppiness. I'm sorry about that, guys. Only so much I can do. I have cable internet access, and right now is probably the time when everybody else in the neighborhood is online and eating up the bandwidth. So, best I can do, unfortunately. All right. Hester and Moore says, what age do you breed a new doe? Just got a new Rex. She is 9 weeks old at the moment. Yeah, 6 months. I think I already kind of answered that. All right, Birch Farm says, I enjoy your videos getting quails this year. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully the videos help you out. All right. Kinsey says, sorry I'm late. Oh my gosh, I just got some quail. They are nasty little birds, LOL. Well, I don't know what you mean by nasty, if they mean they're aggressive with each other or, they just make a big mess, because yes, they do make a big mess. That's one of the reasons why I use a wire bottom cage. It keeps it much, much cleaner. If you use a solid bottom cage, then you're going to be cleaning it out on a regular basis, because yeah, they are pretty nasty. If you can keep the droppings dry, there's hardly any odor. But if they get wet, wow, that's that's one of the worst smells in the world, I think. All right, Rebecca says, my quail hatched this week, got lots of buttons and about 8 Coturnix. Questions on average, how many birds are boys versus girls? Wow, you just never know. It's probably pretty close to, on average, about a 50-50 split. It depends. If you're really trying to come up with egg layers, you're probably going to get 70% males. I mean, it's just no way to know. It really just varies. Toasted Rabbit, hello to you. Let's see, you say, my doe rejected 5 out of her 8 babies. Oh my goodness, that is a tough weekend for sure. If it's a first-time mom, give her another shot and try again. It's not uncommon for them to not be able to support all of them, but 5 out of 8 being rejected is pretty high. All right, April says, can I breed a dad and daughter rabbit? Kind of gross, right? Or no? Yeah, you can breed father to daughter. You can breed mother to son. Don't ever breed brother to sister. And actually, you say it's kind of gross, but no, there's actually some good to that. The line breeding is what they call that. Strengthens your gene pool in ways. It's going to bring out the good traits, but it's also going to bring out the bad traits. So if they're good breeders, both of them, they're good quality rabbits, and you breed them together, then you're going to bring out those good traits in them and make even better rabbits in the end. But again, it can excuse me, I'm having a real hard time talking. It can bring out the bad traits as well, so just keep that in mind. If they're not good quality rabbits, then you may not want to do that. But it's up to you. There's nothing wrong with doing that. All right, this is Lulu the Silky Chicken. Says, I started raising rabbits about 3 years ago. I had 2 litters this month and expecting 2 more next week. Wow, that's a pretty big litter count there. good luck on that. I hope it works out well for you. I usually, like I've got a doe that's due in about 2 weeks, and at that time my previous doe, hers will be about 6 weeks old. So they'll have about 2 more weeks usually before they go to the freezer camp, and then I'll rebreed her at that point. So I usually just try to keep one litter really going at a time myself. But hey, there's nothing wrong with that too. So good luck. Hopefully it works out. Yeah, can see that those, yeah, quail do make a lot of mess very, very fast. You need to make sure that you get some no waste feeders, just like a Tupperware container with holes cut in the side so they can stick their head in and eat. Because if you have an open feeder, they're going to get in there and dust bath in it and throw the food everywhere, waste all kinds of food, make an even bigger mess with it. And yeah, they leave droppings everywhere, all over the place. It's amazing how much those little things can produce. Okay, 355 says you're getting a lot of baby quail with splayed legs. It could be related to, most of the time, I mean, there could be genetic issues with that, but most of the time that's related to whatever you're putting them on after they hatch out. If they can't get good traction, then tends to cause splayed legs. So make sure you put something down that they can get traction on, that they can get a foothold on. It could be, if they're hatching out like really late, it could be an incubation, your incubator temperature not reading correctly and being just a little bit on the low side. So those two things would be the first things I would look at. Hope that helps. Christopher Stone says, does quail poop need longer to compost than chicken? No, I mean, composting is composting. It composts about the same amount, and it depends. I mean, if you get out there and turn it frequently, you have the right carbon to nitrogen ratio in your compost pile, and the conditions just right, you can compost it down in just a couple of weeks. If you're just going to pile it up and let it sit and compost on its own, it's going to take closer to about a year, 6 months to a year, but it doesn't take any longer than chicken. Rebecca Britanna says, do you use those plastic-made feeders for chicks too? I do. When they first hatch out, I've got a long red feeder with just the standard chicken feeder, like, it's kind of TP shaped. It's got the holes all through it. It's very wasteful for the adults, but I use that for the birds in the brooder box when they're young, because they can't reach inside the holes yet. But when they get to be about 2 weeks old, 2 to 3 weeks old, as soon as they go out to the grow out pen, they go to those feeders right there. And a lot of times they'll actually climb inside the feeder and just eat inside the feeder. But that's what I use. Uh-oh, let me make sure that's not important. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but that was a text message. Oh, that can wait. I will text him back here in just a little while. Hit the mute, or hit the silence button on there so it's not disturbing us too much. Okay, April Robinette says, I saw on a video you can breed while mom is nursing. Is that okay, or should I wait? It's up to you. You can do it however you want to. Lots of people do very intensive breeding, and they'll breed when the babies are 2 weeks old. Wean them off at 6 weeks, so the mother has like 2 weeks before she gives birth again. I don't personally do that. I like to give my does a little bit more of a break than that, but there's nothing wrong with it if you want to do it. You're just going to probably shorten the time, in the long run, the time that the mother is going to be able to have babies. It is a little bit of intensive breeding on the mother. You're going to want to make sure you keep her well fed, keep her in good condition, but if everything's going well, then yeah, you can definitely breed that way if you want to. Danae says, have you heard of adding 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to a half gallon of water for your does to get bigger litter size in your does and helping their pH levels? Yeah, it's a bunch of junk. It's not true. People put all these magical qualities on apple cider vinegar. The whole idea there is that apple cider vinegar, and that whole raising their pH levels, it's not going to make a difference on their pH levels. Don't buy into that kind of stuff. It's just somebody's new age, voodoo, whatever. I don't even want to say it because I'll probably offend somebody. It's apple cider vinegar is not magical. It does have probiotics in it. It is a fermented, like yogurt, sauerkraut, all those kinds of things. So yeah, there are some health benefits to that probiotics. It's the lactobacillus bacteria, I think is what it is in there. That does have some health benefits to it. But a tablespoon in a gallon of water it's not going to make that big of a difference with the rabbits. There are some thoughts that, I mean, it's not bad for them. So if you want to add it, that's fine. There are some concerns with apple cider vinegar. I was reading some studies on lately, more related to birds like chickens and quail and those kinds of things than rabbits. But there's no reason it wouldn't hold true for rabbits as well. Is that it can actually cause more good than harm in the heat of summer. That it can cause them to not be able to hydrate as well as they normally would. I can't quote specifically where that study came from, but I don't know that I'd worry too much about a tablespoon or a teaspoon even, in a water. But it doesn't really make any difference. It's not going to make any significant difference in the size of their litters or any of that kind of stuff. Okay, Christopher Stone says, is pine bedding okay for their feet? Let me see. I think you're going back to the question about what you put in the bottom of the brooder box. Pine bedding's okay. Yeah, there's no problem with that. I don't use it. I have used it before. I don't use it mostly because it gets so nasty so quick that you're just having to scoop it all out and replace it almost every day. So I don't use it in a brooder. That's why I use paper towels. It's just easier. It's cleaner. It's much easier to trade out. But that's just my opinion. All right. Don't ever use cedar. Pine is fine, but don't ever use cedar. All right. Adolf says, I find a tree newborn baby rabbits. It's very cold. I put in the nest to warms up, but it's still looking dead. What do I? Okay. You found a newborn baby rabbit that was very cold, and you put it in the nest to warm it up, but it still looks like it's dead. What do you do? Okay, if it was outside of the nest box on the wire, then yeah, they'll chill really, really bad, and they may look dead. Check its nails, its toenails. If there's not blood in the nails, there's still a chance. What I would do is get it immediately, put it in like a Ziploc bag or something like that. Don't seal it, leave it open. And then put some warm water, not boiling hot, just warm water in a cup, in a bowl, the bottom of your sink, whatever, and set that bag in there. And that'll help warm that baby up very fast. And watch until there's blood in the nails, the toenails, that baby's not dead. Don't consider it dead. Keep trying. I did a video on that, but hey, I appreciate you being on this live broadcast. But if you're having that problem, you go take care of it right away because they won't last very long if you don't. So hopefully that helps and gives you the answer you're looking for. Okay, Ode says, can you please say my brother name Adele? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Is it Adele or Adele? I'm not real sure if I got it right, but hey, I said it. So, can't see, what did I, are you talking to me? Oh, you're talking to, you're talking to Christopher. Okay. You said Christopher, made me think it was me. That's my name, so. Oh, no t-shirt today. No, Lynn, you picked that out. No t-shirt today. This is, I just came from work. So just got home from work. This is what I wore to work today. So I just decided, why not? I'll just wear it for the live broadcast tonight. Okay, Jonathan Ray says, hey, I'm wondering, my doe are due Saturday, and they seem to always be in the nest box. Is that good? Well, it's not bad. It's a little unusual for them to be in the nest box all the time, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. They probably won't. I usually don't put the nest box in until about 2 days before they're due anyway, because I do find that sometimes they will get in there, they'll mess around, they'll eat all the straw or throw it all out. But yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. Just watch her pretty closely. The thing I would watch for is if she tries to build her nest like outside of the nest box. And if she does that, then you're going to have to watch it as soon as she has her babies and move them into the nest box. But I wouldn't be too concerned other than that. Well, Ode, I think I got that. Hold on, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name. Is it Ode, Odai? I'm not sure if I got it right or not, but I did say your brother's name. So hopefully he believes it now. Who knows? Okay, Lauren Phelps says, I had a doe that had 6 babies, and they were 3 weeks old today, and there have been a lot of cats hanging around my house. Would she eat the babies? Unlikely. Rabbits do occasionally eat their young, but it's not really due to any kind of, not generally anyway, any kind of outside thing. It's usually like some kind of deficiency in the mother rabbit herself. She can't produce enough milk. She's got, like I said, some kind of deficiency in her diet, and that's why she does it. But yeah, the cat's hanging around. They shouldn't bother her. They should be fine. All right. 355. It froze up again, huh? So you didn't get the answer about the splayed leg. Okay, let me try that again. Splayed legs can be a genetic thing. If it's just they're prone to that, that may be genetics. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on. It can also, most of the time, what it's due to is they can't get traction on whatever surface. So like if you put them on a surface like right out of the incubator into the brooder box with like a bunch of slick newspaper, they can't get traction on that, so they can't stand up. And that can cause splayed legs as well. That's the most common issue with that. It could be also that your incubator temperature is a little bit low. If that was the case, then you're probably going to have really late hatches. And that can cause some problems with splayed legs as well. Hopefully that kind of answers that you got at that time. All right, Christopher Stone says, changing topics. What's the best crop to grow in small space, easy with highest yield? I'm in the South. Wow, there's a whole bunch of different things in that. If you want quick turnaround, highest yield, think about greens, lettuces, lettuce, spinach, that kind of stuff is going to be fast, quick, and you can get a really quick turnaround on that, high yield off that kind of stuff. If you want to just do a tomato plant, tomato plants, they produce a lot of tomatoes. It depends on what you like to eat, honestly. Just because you got a small space doesn't mean you can't do anything at all. Radishes, they don't take up much space. Green beans are very easy to produce, and they'll produce quite a bit of crop, for you. And you can do succession planting, so you can do multiple harvests a year with green beans. So hopefully that kind of gives you a couple ideas. All right, so Ruthie says, if I didn't want fertile quail eggs, can I just separate the males and females? Well, sure you can. I'm not sure why you wouldn't want fertile quail eggs, though. If you're just using them for eating, doesn't matter if they're fertile or not. Just take them for the quail, put them in the fridge. They won't develop, and they're perfectly fine to eat. But yeah, if you want to separate your roosters, you can. You're going to have some noisy roosters, though. They're going to really want to get to those females. They're going to be crowing a lot. But yeah, you can do that. Okay, Willy Wonka from Prague. Hey there. And I'm not sure what the last part is. That a foreign language? Or is that like a city name? Bisu Hiles? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I don't speak that language. I'm sorry. Okay, Jackie says, you're giving out good information there, my friend. I agree with everything that you're saying. I know where to go when I have a question to ask. Thanks, much appreciated. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you're finding the information helpful, and I'm very glad to help. Okay, Adolf says, will the mom warm the baby rabbits because I just see her at the nest? Should I still do what you said or leave them and let her do it? Well, good question. If you see, if they're squirming around, if they're moving, then yeah, leave them alone. They're going to be fine. But if you look in there and they still look like they're dead, at least get them out, check their nails, and if there's blood in the nails, then yeah, they're probably dead. Go ahead and remove them from the nest box, unfortunately. If they're, on the other hand, if they're not moving around at all, but there's no blood in the nails, I would bring them in and warm them up. It shouldn't take long, 15, 20 minutes, and they'll start moving around, squirming around. Once they do that, then you can go put them back in the nest box and they'll be fine. All right, Danae says, have you seen any change in litter size or stress in your does rebreeding while they are still nursing? For example, 3 weeks after kindling. I don't breed that early, but no, you shouldn't have any problems with that. You should be able to go ahead and rebreed, and it shouldn't cause any problems at all. I don't personally do that just because it does cause stress on the female. It's a lot of extra work for her to produce all those babies, all that milk, constantly nursing. I believe she needs a break from time to time. I don't think it's going to have an effect too much on her next litter, but what it will have an effect is on her over the long haul, like a year or 2 years. She may stop being able to produce at all like a year and a half, instead of what you usually get is like 2.5 years out of a doe. Rebecca, thank you very much for the $5 super chat there. I appreciate that. Says, thanks for all your answers. I'm sure I'll have more next week. Anytime, come back. Whether you super chat or not, I will do my best to answer your questions for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, why do quails Why do you put quails in ice cold water after butchering? Oh, oh, good grief! Excuse me, guys. I can't get past the strain of my voice. I put everything in cold water after I butcher it. It's to cool the meat down. Just because warm meat starts to deteriorate. I mean, just almost immediately. It doesn't take long at all. I mean, you may not even notice it, but it does start. So cooling it down as quick as you can is going to keep the meat fresher, make it last longer. That's why I do it. April, you got me confused there. Can you can corned beef and hash or just corned beef? Oh, can you can? Okay. Now I'm there. Can you can corned beef and hash or just corned beef? I don't think you'd want to can hash. I mean, that's mostly potato. I mean, you could, but I think it would just pretty much turn to mush in the pressure cooker, and you would just end up with, corned beef and starchy, soupy mess. I don't think it would work out very well, but I don't know. I guess you could. You could try it and see. I would look up, in Ball, Blue Book is a good resource for that. I don't really do a lot of canning meat. I freeze most of my meat, I don't know that I can answer that question. I'll have to look it up. Sorry, you caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared for that one. LLJ says, I've wondered if quails don't tend to go broody, then how did they survive for so long? Well, we're talking about Coturnix quail don't tend to go broody, and they don't tend to go broody because they've been domesticated for so long, thousands of years. So that's why they don't tend to go broody. But the wild quail, the bob whites, those kinds of things will definitely go broody from time to time. They're a little bit different. So and look at that, another $5 super chat from Jesse Jackson. Thank you so much. You see, you rock live chatting while not feeling well. I don't really feel all that bad. I'm straining my voice, having a hard time talking. But if you guys can hear me, then we're good. We made it 32 minutes. I'll see how much longer I can go before I completely lose my voice. Maybe tomorrow I won't be able to talk. Maybe everybody at work will probably be happy if that's the case. Harlow Kondo says, Chris, I asked this question last week. A YouTuber from South Carolina says he grinds 36% floating cat food. Floating cat food? Floating catfish food, probably. And 29% chick starter to make 28% for his quail. What do you think? Fine, I guess. I don't see any reason to do it. Seems like a whole lot of extra work for no reason whatsoever. If you get a game bird starter or a turkey starter, there's people that are paid big money to research that stuff. It's got the right combination of everything you need in it. So I don't see any reason to do that myself. But if you want to go through the extra step, do it. No problem. It's not going to hurt your birds at all. I think it would be fine. Adolf, are you talking about wild rabbits? I missed a question, didn't I? Ode says, when am I going to come to Alberta to visit? I don't know. Maybe I will come to Alberta sometime. I've never been to Canada. Who knows? Check it out. I hear it's a beautiful, nice place. I'd like to visit sometime. All right, what do we got here? Colleen Parrish says, wild rabbits are rarely with their babies to protect them. That's true, Colleen. They're very seldom. Usually, and if you didn't have your domestic rabbit inside the cage with the babies, she would rarely be with them either. It's just their instinct. They don't come back but about twice a day to feed their babies, and then the rest of the time they're nowhere near the nest. And that's part of a survival instinct. I mean, rabbits are food for everything. I mean, that's what their purpose in life is. They are a prey animal, so they stay away from the nest in order not to draw the not to draw predators, not to draw attention to the nest and draw predators to the nest. So it's an intentional thing. They just don't go near it very often at all. But rabbits do have a fairly protective side to them. I don't know if this has ever happened to anybody, but it's happened to me more than once where I found a young baby rabbit, not very old at all, just barely. It's a wild rabbit, barely out of the nest, and it's trapped in the garden or something like that. So I catch it, it starts to squeal. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes the mom. And she'll get up within 5-10 feet of me and just stand there looking at me like, what are you doing to my baby? And as soon as I put it down and it starts to hop off, she's right there with it and just follows it out. Even though she was nowhere near it at the time, as soon as it sounds that distress call, she's right there every time. It's pretty wild to see. All right, wild rabbits. Okay, got that already. Kyron, hopefully I got that right. Hey Chris, it's 00:30 here in Scotland. I think that means like 12:30 at night, like 30 minutes past midnight. And I'm still awake watching your instructional vids. LOL, great job. Well, thank you so much for sacrificing your sleep and watching my videos. I appreciate it. But hey, don't go through too much. I mean, the videos will be there tomorrow too, so don't keep yourself up too late and make it a rough day tomorrow doing that. I have some family in Scotland too. I don't know them, but my sister's connected with one or two of them a little bit. All right, Colleen Parrish says it's best to leave wild rabbits alone. Absolutely, Colleen. Yeah, best to leave them alone. You know, it's not going to hurt if you want to open the nest up, look at them. You can even pick them up and take a look at them. Don't handle them too much. Put them back in the nest, cover it back up, leave them alone. They're not abandoned. They don't do well in captivity, so don't try to bring them inside. It's not a good thing for wild rabbits. All right, Tracy Hedford says, what's this super chat thing? I don't see it on my tool. I don't know, honestly, how you do super chat. If you're logged in, there should be a little $ down at the bottom of the chat. That's the super chat thing. I guess you just click on. I don't know if you have to do something beforehand. I'm not sure how it works, honestly. But yeah, it's in the chat. There's a $ down there. If you click on that, it lets you do that. And don't feel obligated, guys. I appreciate, if you're going to throw $5 my way, I appreciate that very much. I think what it's designed for initially was to give people, like, in a really big chat room. We got 45 people in here. The chat's moving along, but it's not moving along that fast. If it was going so fast, what it does is it highlights your comment, makes it stick out, so the person answering the questions is more likely to answer them. I would like to say that I'm going to be more likely to answer your questions if you do a super chat. I probably will be a little more likely, but for the most part, I answer every question in there. So again, if you guys want to throw a couple of bucks my way, very much appreciated. Thank you so much. It humbles me to think that you would be willing to do that, but don't feel like you have to do that. I'm not holding anything against you if you don't. It's okay. All right, where do I get quail eggs to start incubating? Well, Ruthie, that depends. If you don't have anybody there locally, my go-to is always Kansas City Quail Farms. Great bloodlines. You can get good quality birds there. He does a great job. So that's where I would go if you're going to order them in. Otherwise, just look locally. And I would suggest starting off with birds rather than eggs, especially if you've never incubated. If you've incubated before, you know what you're doing, then yeah, by all means, go ahead and go with eggs. But if you don't, if you're new to incubating, I've got a whole series. You can go watch it. It'll tell you how to do it, and if you follow it, you'll get good results. Hopefully, not guaranteed, but hopefully. But it is a little bit better if you can get birds locally to go ahead and start with those. Get a little bit of experience incubating down first, and then order in some good quality eggs. Okay, Real Golf Texas says, mosquitoes, is it a problem with quail? Yeah, I'm sure it is a problem, but no more so than any other animal. I mean, they're susceptible to parasites, worms, all those kinds of things. But feathers are a pretty good protector, so I don't think it's that big of an issue. I never see like swarms of mosquito around my quail hutch, and we've got plenty of mosquitoes around here. All right, Christopher Stone says, do you let shipped eggs, quail eggs, sit for a period of time before incubating? Yeah, I usually give them about 24 hours. Just set them right next to the incubator and give them 24 hours to acclimate to the room temperature before putting them in the incubator. Adolph says, thanks for everything, all that I need. Thanks. Well, thanks so much for joining. Glad we got your questions answered. And April wants to know if I'll do some more videos on cooking rabbits. You have a few, but I like them. Yeah, I will. I don't have any rabbit to cook right now. My freezer's empty. But I do have some babies that are almost 4 weeks old, so it won't be but another about 4 or 5 weeks. I should have some rabbit to cook, and I'll work on getting another cooking video up there for you guys. Danae says, what's your favorite way to cook rabbit? Well, I mean, there's a lot of ways to cook rabbit. Generally, either in the oven or pressure cooker. I like those two the best. Crock pot would be my third favorite. If you're going to shred it and use it for, like, tacos or, quesadillas or whatever, enchiladas are good. Crock pots are okay, but they do tend to make, they tend to make the meat a little bit mushy, if that makes sense. I like the texture of it better when it's out of the oven. And just cook it the same way you would chicken, about the same time, and that works pretty well. And I mean, there's a lot of different recipes out there. For a quick, easy one, go to your grocery store and pick up one of those McCormick's bag-in seasonings. It's like a, it's in the spice aisle where they keep like chili seasoning and all that in the little packages. And it comes with a little plastic bag and a seasoning packet, and you're supposed to get like 4 cups of vegetables, carrots, celery, onion, whatever you like. Potatoes are good. Throw all those in that bag, sprinkle it down, just cook it the way it says for chicken, and it's pretty darn good. It's actually a pretty easy, cheap, and pretty tasty recipe. All right, what else? Do you need to be logged into your Google? You need to be logged into your Google, I think. I don't know, honestly, Rebecca, if you need to be logged into Google or just into YouTube. I don't know. Hey, Kathy. How are you? All right, so hi, Chris. This is Sherry Harris. My Flemish Arizona mixes are great mothers. Thanks for all your help. Flemish and AZ. Is that New Zealand? Flemish New Zealand mixes, maybe? Typo, hopefully, because I'm not sure what AZ are. Anyway, hey, no problem. I'm glad to hear that they're doing well. My experience with my Flemish mixes is not, they don't tend to be that great. And it's not that they're terrible mothers, they're okay, but the babies take like 12 weeks to grow out instead of 8 weeks. It's just such a slow grow out. I tend to go with more purebreds for my breeders, but that's just been my experience with the ones I've had. Each rabbit's individual, each rabbit's a little bit different. That doesn't mean they're all going to be that way for sure. I've got one right now I'm testing out that's a New Zealand cross. We'll see if that holds true for her as well. All right, Lando says, watching, I'm from Sheffield, UK. Got 2 does. What that should kindle through the night. First kits this year. Well, hey, good luck with that. I hope it works out, and I'm betting that you wake up tomorrow and you see baby rabbits in the nest box. All right. Oh, okay. Kathy, right? I'm so bad with names. Forgive me when I forget your names. K-Thumb says, what I want to know is, what do you do in a terrible thunderstorm with high winds? Do you take your rabbits inside? No. I have tarps on the front of my rabbit shed. You've probably seen it if you've seen a lot of my videos. I pull them out like, this is the front of my cages right here. I pull them out at an angle like this, make like a lean-to. When it's just, light rain or winds or whatever. When it's a bad thunderstorm, in Southwest Missouri, we get bad thunderstorms, 50, 60 mile an hour winds. I just pull them down tight, and I tie them off to the legs of the shed so it holds in tight. That's all they need. They'll be fine. 5 tons with guns. That's a great name. Says, hello, Chris. We've gotten so much out of you. Great info. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you're finding things helpful. Excuse me. Christopher Stone says, how much of a temp swing does your incubator have between heating cycles? Usually less than a full degree. It might drop from like 99.5 to 99, and then it might go up to 100, but it usually fluctuates within that 1 degree, about a half degree one way or the other. Sometimes a little bit lower than that. I will tell you this, set your incubator, whatever it's reading. I've got mine going right now. Let me check it real quick. We'll see. Yep, it's right on. It's 99.6 right now, so it's just right in line. Try to keep it in an area that doesn't get a lot of drafts, that doesn't fluctuate in temperature, like the room itself doesn't fluctuate a lot. That'll help stabilize it a little bit more. But don't stress yourself out about standing there and just staring at the thing the whole time, because you will you won't get any sleep. You'll just be adjusting it constantly and won't ever be able to catch up. All right. April says, can I use compost or do I need soil in my garden? I don't think that was off of another question. Okay, can you use compost or soil? You're better off using compost, honestly. There's already dirt there. There's already soil there. But don't bring in a bunch of dirt from somewhere else. You just compost, it's fine. What I usually do on a brand new garden bed is I'll lay down some cardboard, and then I'll lay down some straw, all about that thick of straw. And then on top of that, I'll go with like an inch or 2 of compost, and then about 2 or 3 inches of some kind of top mulch, wood chips, dead leaves, grass clippings, something like that. But don't forget that top mulch layer, incredibly important. You don't have to go through all of those steps. Just add compost straight to the top, but mulch it. Whatever you do, you got to get mulch on top of that. Even if it's just more cardboard laid down on top, or black plastic or something like that. But you got to put some kind of. If you don't cover the ground, nature will cover it, and nature will cover it with weeds and crabgrass and Bermuda grass and whatever blows in from anywhere. That's what nature will cover it with. So hopefully that kind of answers. I know a little bit more than what you asked, but hopefully that gives you the answer you're looking for. But yeah, compost, just plant straight into compost. As long as it's finished and not hot and still cooking, it's fine. That's what I use primarily. All right. Do you need to add a lower bowl or separate bowl in the rabbit cage for the babies to pick on, or can they reach the mom's J feeder? Oh, they can reach the J feeder. By the time they start getting out of the nest box, they just jump in the J feeder and start eating. Just almost like as soon as they come out of the nest box, they go right for the feeder, and they just sit inside of it and eat. You don't need to worry about anything like that. They even reach the water, and the water is up, that high in the cage. They reach that too, no problem. Okay, so LLJ, you just tried, and Google needed. Oh, you're talking about the super chat again. Have to be verified through Google, I guess. All right, CLH Legal. CLH Legal, I don't know what that stands for, but oh well. At 3.5 weeks, they are already over a pound. They are much larger than my New Zealand's were at the same age. Well, fantastic. Sounds like you got some good mother rabbits there. Hang on to them. Now, that wasn't my experience with my last Flemish New Zealand cross, or the one before that. But we'll see what it is with this one. It may be different. Tracy says, hey, Lando, I think we're in the same rabbit group on Facebook. I'm not sure what rabbit group that is, but I may be in there with you guys too. Who knows? Allison says, I have 5 baby mini lops born Wednesday. Congratulations. I have 8 3-week-old bunnies right now, but they're not mini lops. They're pretty cute. Probably not as cute as your mini lops. All right, we are coming up on 47 minutes in chat here. Voice is still going so far, but going to be wrapping this up before too awful long. You guys know how this goes, though. As long as you keep chatting and I keep staring at the chat, I can't shut up for some reason. So we'll get a couple more questions answered before we get off here for the night. All right, Danae says, do you ever harvest your rabbit pelts? I'm starting Champagne I can't ever say that. Champagne d'Argents? Yeah, I think that's right. I don't speak any kind of French, and I can't pronounce it out. You're starting them for fur and meat. I don't typically save rabbit pelts myself. One thing, when you're butchering for meat at 8 weeks old, the pelts really are not mature at that point. They're not really good for much except for like craft purposes. Doesn't mean you can't save them if you want to use them yourself, but if you're wanting to sell them, you're not going to bring a top dollar unless you grow them out to adulthood, 6 months or older. And typically in the wintertime is when you're going to get better results because they have a thicker coat in the wintertime. I don't save any. I've thought about it. I've toyed around with it a little bit from time to time, but I always leave them in the pickling brine and just forget about them and never get to them on time. I may do that someday though, and if I do, I'll make sure to shoot video on it and show you guys. Lauren Phelps says, what are peanuts, baby rabbits? Yeah, peanut is like the runt of the litter, like little tiny baby rabbit. That's what they call a peanut. It'd be like the smaller than normal. So, all right, LJ says, hey Chris, would you be open to trying a rabbit recipe that we can send you? Ours came out so amazing. If you like spicy, it's perfect. I do like spicy. So yeah, send me a recipe. Sure, I'll try it out, and if it's good, I'll share it on the YouTube channel and give you credit. You're sharing too much with me though. I can't ever. I haven't even sent you back seeds yet. But yeah, send me a recipe. I'll try it out. We'll see how it goes. Actually, I can't say I'll try it out. I'll read it through. If it looks good, I'll try it out. So if you send me something with like, peanut butter and habanero, I'm going to say, no, probably not going to do that. But you get the idea. I will do my best to try that out for sure. You can just email it to me if you want to, post it in the Facebook group, however. My email, chris@slightlyrednecked.com. Feel free to reach out to me there if you want. Okay, Colleen Parrish says, Allison, are you familiar with Mini Rex? We have an expecting doe, and we are new to Mini Rex. I'm not sure. Oh, you're asking Allison because she's has the mini lobster. Oh, look at that, Christopher Stone, $4.99. Thank you so much. It says people like you are hard to find these days. Thanks for all the info so far. Well, thank you so much for the super chat, $4.99. I appreciate that so much, and I'm glad that you find my videos helpful. That is my goal, is to be helpful, to help people out. I really do enjoy. I enjoy teaching. So that's why most of my videos are pretty much a teaching, kind of feel to them. It's hard for me to do anything else. I do feel like that is kind of the gift that God gave me, and it's hard for me to move away from that. But I really enjoy helping other people out. That's why I don't just shut down all this stuff and don't let people message me on Facebook. And I'm going to help you if I can. All right, where are we at here? Huntfish Grow says, I prefer my rabbits to be American Chinchilla, Silver Fox, and New Zealand. Bucks are American Chin with New Zealand. Does are American Chin and Silver Fox. Great meat breeds. Well, that's good information. I had an American Chinchilla, or Giant Chinchilla actually, mix rabbit, and her babies grew out really slow too, so I ended up getting rid of her, but my gosh, those were the cutest babies ever. I mean, just adorable little baby rabbits. It was really, really hard to butcher those things. I don't know that I could do it on a regular basis. Rabbit Head Tilt. Guitar Petey says, hey, has anyone on here had a problem with rabbit head tilt? I've not personally had that problem myself, but I know several people that have. I don't know what to tell you about that, honestly. I'd have to look back at my notes. I can't remember what that's caused from, and if there's a way to treat that. I'm sorry I can't help more with the spur of the moment decision, but if you come back and hit me up later, I'll do my best to find an answer for you and give you some suggestions if somebody doesn't in the comments section here first. All right, 5 Tons with Guns says, hello again. Do you know anyone in Arizona with quail? I don't right offhand. Is anybody in the comments in Arizona that has quail that can hook up with 5 Tons? We had a question a couple of weeks ago about rabbit in Arizona. I don't remember who asked that, but somebody did come back later and posted in the comments section of the video that they were in Arizona and they would be willing to help that person out. So you might come back and look in these comments sections afterwards. Not the comment that's going on right now, but the comments that post below the video. Once the video is done recording and posted up, then if somebody leaves a comment below there, you might kind of keep an eye on there too. Tracy Edford says, you can do my last comment. The rabbit group on Facebook is yours, Chris. Well, if you mean Slightly Rednecked Facebook group, well, yeah, that's mine. But there are a bunch of different rabbit groups out there, and I'm a member of a couple of them. Hey, Michelle, glad you made it. Just about to wrap up here in a couple of minutes, but I'm glad to see you. Glad that you made it. All right, Allison Tribley says, yeah, my last rabbits were Rex, and they passed away, so I'm trying different kinds. Well, nothing wrong with that. No, you're answering Colleen's question about if you're familiar with Mini Rex. Okay, Mama Two Cubs says, day 27 here. What's the earliest rabbits kindle? About day 27, usually. They can go anywhere from about day 27 to day 34, roughly. Usually, most of mine are almost always day 30, almost right on the dot. So I would keep the eye out any day now. She should be having them. Case Tom says, I would like to be in the rabbit group. Well, I don't know which one, but if you want to, Slightly Rednecked Facebook group, just go on Facebook, search the group out, Slightly Rednecked, and request to join. I'll add you to it, no problem. Colleen Parrish says, okay, we breed meat rabbits, but wasn't sure of the difference in breeding with the small breeds. I think it's about the same thing. I don't think there is much difference at all, just smaller. April wants to know what I do for a living. I've actually answered this question a couple of times, made people guess at it. I am an account manager for a call center. That's what I do. Hunt Fish Grow says, I'm in North Central Florida, and I'm looking for quail if anyone has any. I don't know if anybody, there's some people in Florida, but I don't know who they are, so I can't point you that direction right away. But if anybody in here is in North Central Florida and has quail, Get in contact with Hunt Fish Grow and help him out. Okay, Michelle Richards says, Chris, if I put button quail eggs in the incubator this Tuesday at 10:30, when will lockdown for the button? Do I count that a day 0? Then Wednesday was day 1 or Thursday? Oh, good question. So yeah, count the day you started them as day 1. That's day 1. And then you put them into lockdown on day 15, 14, 15. I would go with day 15. Actually, you could go with day 14 just to be sure, because if you're running a little bit warm, they may hatch out just a little bit early. Oh, Michelle, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you're right. The time has changed. Daylight savings time. I didn't think about that. The rest of the world doesn't celebrate or recognize daylight savings time, so it's an hour earlier now for you guys. Sorry about that. I'm one of those Americans, and we just think of ourselves only, I guess. All right, CLH Legal says, Guitar Pete, I think you're referring to Rednecked. That's right. Yeah, there is a lot of info on Google. Just Google Rednecked. You're right. That's exactly what it's called. I can't remember the specifics on treating it. I've never had the problem myself. Susan, hello. And Synthetic Karma says, do rabbits like to be petted? Not really. Some of your pet breeds, like the mini lops, the mini rexes, those kinds of things, they probably enjoy it a little bit more. My California bucks tend to be pretty friendly. They like to come up to the front of the cage, like to maybe have their forehead scratched just a little bit, but not really petted, like all the way down the body. Most of the time, they don't really enjoy that. They'll tolerate it sometimes, and you will find exceptions to that. You will find rabbits that do enjoy a little bit of attention being petted. But most of the time, most of them, no, not really. Especially not meat rabbits. They don't really like it at all, generally. All right. I see the comment. There it is. I'm going to bed now, guys. Great chat once again from Scotland. Kyron, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Hopefully I got it right. Thank you for joining. Have a good night, and we will see you next week, hopefully. Okay, Real Golf says, what do you use to clean your quail cages? Water when it needs it. That's really about it. I use wire cages. Pretty much everything just falls right through. They don't really need cleaned very often at all. Whenever I empty a cage out before I put new ones in, I will kind of spray it down a little bit. I may go over it with some some Dawn dish soap and some water, and scrub it a little bit if I need to. If there are like the boards in there, if they get kind of nasty, then that's what I usually use, is just like some Dawn dish soap and some water. Wipe them off, hose them off real good, and that's it. I don't freak out about cleaning things. I do find that my rabbit cages need cleaned a little bit more frequently. Every once in a while, the females seem to be worse about it. Get like hair blockage, so it just, instead of their droppings falling through, it kind of piles up in one corner. You have to dig all that out. Oops, I'm going to knock a light over. Have to dig all that out. Wear gloves when you do it, rubber gloves. And then I'll scrub that down. Vinegar is a good disinfectant for that. It's as strong as you need. It works plenty well enough. Do quails like to be petted? Not usually, no. I've got some that will tolerate being handled a little bit. They don't seem to really enjoy it, though. CLH Legal says water with apple cider vinegar in it for cleaning. That's fine. You can do that too. Regular white vinegar or apple cider, either one's going to work just fine. And Ruthie, you said, does the wire hurt their feet? I'm not sure what their feet are. Is that rabbits or quail? And are we going back to mini Rexes? If I remember right, okay, quail. No, if you have small enough wire, small enough, not gauge wire, but small enough, the squares, the size of the squares, then no, it's not going to hurt their feet too. I don't have any problems with it anyway. I do give them sandboxes, though. They have a place they can get off the wire if they want to. Some of them spend some time in there. Some of them hardly spend any time in there. It just varies. But no, I don't have any problems with any feet. I never have any, bumblefoot or any of those kinds of issues with them. They do just fine. I just don't use anything bigger than a 1/2-inch square hardware cloth. You don't want to go like 1-inch or 2-inch square, because that's just too big. Their feet can't fit across that hole all the way, and that could cause some problems. All right, going right at an hour here. I got to get this wrapped up. Like I said, I was staring at the comments, got carried away, and I can't shut up now. But let's see if I can get these last couple of comments answered, and then we'll wrap this up for this week, and I'll go give my voice a break tonight. Lauren says, if you breed a doe with 2 bucks, will she have babies from both or just one of them? I don't know, honestly. I've got to think about that. I don't even know. It seems like I've heard both ways. It seems like I've heard that about cats too. But if they if they get bred by multiple males, that they can have babies from different males. I guess that's possible with rabbits too. Really don't know for sure. Tracy says her California girl loves to be petted. She grabs my coat and yanks me if I don't pet her as soon as I open her cage. That's a unique rabbit. Mine don't do that. Oh, Nolan. Tom Nolan says, I've had some problems in the past. Rabbits at 4 to 6 weeks old get bloated, stop eating, and die. What could cause that, and how do I treat that? That could be a number of different things. Sounds like weaning enteritis. If you're weaning the rabbits off, you might give them a little bit more time to be weaned off. Not wean them off quite so early. You can use like baby gas drops to help treat bloat in rabbits, but that's what it kind of sounds like to me. Look that up. You'll find better treatment, a lot more detailed treatment on that. But but that's what I would do. Is just it's hard for me to say without knowing all the details. And unfortunately, I'm out of time for this evening. I don't mean to cut you short, but I got family I got to go spend time with, and I've been in here for an hour, so I got to get this wrapped up for tonight. But again, baby gas drops, you can use those like you would treat an infant with, and make sure you're not weaning them off too quickly. Make sure don't wean before 6 weeks old at all. Give them a little bit further on the longer side, and that will help out a little bit with that, hopefully. All right, guys, got to wrap this up for tonight. Thank you so much for everybody, all the super chats tonight. I appreciate it so much, and thank you all for joining. And we will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. And as always, God bless.